How are you all? Welcome back to Turf Moor House TV, you beautiful, sexy people that you are. We are back and we have got a midweek fixture for you, and it is back at Turf Moor. Cracking result against Brighton at the weekend. Absolutely fantastic. Nice to get that burden off our back of only the one win this season. Now made it two. We're not in the same bracket as Derby County's Premier League record anymore. Get in. However, let's go one better and try and get a result over Spurs tomorrow. Tomorrow. They are coming thick and fast. So we are doing a match preview for the Burnley Spurs game. And I do have a Spurs guest coming in just a second. However, if you are new around here, please do follow our social media. Please do like and subscribe to the channel as well. It really does mean a lot. All you have to do is search Turf Moor House, and you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we're now also on TikTok as well. But also, you will find this shortly after on all your major podcast platforms. All you have to do, again, is just search Turf Moor House, and you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And I will mention the fact that we are supported and associated with Casual Minds Matter, who check in on male mental health in the Burnley area. And it's something that's quite rife and quite big, especially during the pandemic. It was at a peak. However, that's not to say that people still aren't going through it. So we are in mad support of them and everything that they do. So please do go check Casual Minds Matter out as well on the group on Facebook. And myself and others will be there if you ever need to open up and have a chat. They do groups on Mondays as well. You can find all the information out, as I said, over on their Facebook group. So, without further ado, let's bring in our guest. We have Chris from Let's Talk Tottenham. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Thanks so much for inviting me on. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this. First and foremost, Chris, let everybody know about your channel, what you do, that how long you've been a Spurs fan for. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Cheers. So the channel's Let's Talk Tottenham. So it's on YouTube. It streams live Mondays 8 p.m, Fridays 12:30 p.m. Then goes on to podcasts as well. So you can get that wherever you get your normal podcast from as well. And it's essentially the Monday is a match review. Friday is a match preview. But obviously that changes this season when there seems to be games every 3 days. But yeah, I've been a Spurs fan, unfortunately, since I was about 10, so about 28 years. It's all my dad's fault and Gary Lineker's. But yeah, I've had a season ticket since Poch started, so 2014.
Not a problem with that. Not a problem with that at all. The Let's Talk Tottenham channel. How long have you been doing that for now?
Originally, it started just as a podcast, so it was just Let's Talk Tottenham on podcast. So that was 3 years I've been doing it, and this is the 3rd season. And then it was only this season that the YouTube started. So what's that? 8 months, 9 months, something like that. It hasn't been that long at all.
No, not a problem. Well, hopefully we'll send some subscribers your way off the back of this. All Chris's links to the Let's Talk Tottenham pages on Twitter and on YouTube are in the link below. So please do have a look at them in the description. Please do go check out Let's Talk Football. Tottenham, so pre-match nerves already. Already.
Yeah, make sure everyone hits like on here as well and subscribes to this channel as well. Great channel.
No, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much. It means a lot. Let's first and foremost give us your thoughts on the season. I know at the moment you're currently, trying to fight for that, probably the last spot in the top 4. But how has your season gone so far?
Well, normally we have roller coaster seasons, and this one's been about 10 times as bad. Nuno, our 75th choice as manager at the start of the season after getting rid of Jose literally just before cup final. You bring Jose in to win a trophy, and the first chance he gets, he's fired 6 days before. So absolute shambles. Then you have the Nuno coming in who wasn't first choice or second choice or anywhere near that. Then you've got the Kane situation, which obviously didn't set the start of our season very well, and then we end up going 3 matches winning on the trot, and we're top of the league by the first international break, and then we have 3 losses or quite bad losses in London derbies, and then we're back under pressure again, and then we go and sack Nuno, bring Conte in, good start. Then it kind of falls apart a little bit out of the semi-final. Kane, you have to say, by Kane's standards, he's had a terrible season. He's scoring about 8 goals in the league. And then January transfer window, get a few players in, a few deadwoods out, and then terrible results, and then we end up finishing it with a brilliant result against City. So it's been an absolutely bizarre season, and normally you can kind of predict how Spurs are going to go, but I've got no idea, to be honest. And
it has been a strange one, hasn't it?
It's been a mad season. We've still got 15, 16 games left.
No, it is madness. It is madness. I mean, what were your thoughts when obviously Nuno came in? Because as you said, he wasn't first, second, even he wasn't probably even a top 10 choice. So for him to then come in, how did you think that sat? Was it a case of you just had enough of the board at that point that it goes further beyond the appointment of a manager, or was it a case of let's just see what Nuno can do?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. With the board, I'm not one of these Levy out. I want Levy out. That's the be all or end all. But the ESL basically put me onto the Levy outside. It's fine if he wants. Well, it's not fine, but it's fine if he wants to annoy Tottenham fans and ruin Tottenham. But then to potentially put a load of other clubs' fans into, I need to find a new club here, is pretty disgraceful. And my biggest issue with him after the 16-17 season was that he didn't strengthen. We finished second behind Chelsea. We were on the verge of winning the league, and we didn't really strengthen. And we've kind of come to where we are now, where we faltered a bit in terms of Nuno. I mean, it was just a comedy of errors. Made us look pretty stupid, to be honest. Going after all these managers, they all turn us down, and then eventually we go to someone. And Levy put in his program or message to fans at the end of last season, we're going back to Tottenham's roots, attacking football, and then you get Nuno, who everyone in football knows isn't an attacking manager. So it's very, very bizarre. But you got to support your manager. So and he was our manager, so I supported him. But I always thought it was a bit of a stopgap. That whoever the next manager was, it's changed now with Conte, but Pochettino at the time, we were after him. He got a year extended, so he's up to 2 years contract. We get Nuno in on a 2-year contract. So I was under the impression it was a stopgap. And at the end of that 2 years, Levy gets a manager out and a manager in and has to pay zero compensation. And if you look now, 18 months left on Pochettino's contract. Conte came in with 18 months as well. So I still wouldn't rule that out, although all Spurs fans on all these streams go, you're talking nonsense, you don't know what you're talking about. But it wouldn't surprise me at all, and it works for Levy in the sense that he pays zero compensation. But with Conte now, you have to back the guy. If you back Conte, the results speak for themselves and what he did at Chelsea, Inter, Juventus, whoever. So we've got to back him. And I was more annoyed with getting Conte and the fact that why didn't we get him in the summer 6 months early, although apparently he turned us down. But I think the fact that he's here now, if we really wanted him, we could have got him. But it is what it is. And I feel sorry for Nuno a little bit. I think he was just a little bit out of his depth. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people said that, myself included. They thought that, to be fair, at Wolves, he had, something going for him. He'd built a team sort of there where, without sounding disrespectful to Spurs, the job after Mourinho left almost felt like a bit of a poison chalice. And for him to go there, I mean, you were expecting him to do something. I don't know. Were you expecting Nuno to be sort of like a Roy Hodgson's Palace sort of stopgap, just sort of slot in and sort of steady the ship until the next man comes through?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Steady the ship until what I thought Pochettino would come in. But he didn't help himself sometimes, Nuno. I mean, if you looked at our play, Kane and Son might as well have been sat on the side because they weren't involved in the game at all. And Jose was defensive and negative, but at least he was negative in the sense that, right, okay, Kane and Son are our big hitters. They're going to get our goals. So we're going to be negative, but those going forward, they're the pivotal ones. So Nuno didn't do that at all. They were almost completely isolated in games. I think that when people, Spurs fans, say Kane just doesn't look interested, I think that was part of it as well. Just because, if you're a striker and you're not getting involved in the game at all, you're going to be fed up. And if the tactics that it seemed to be don't get you involved in the game, you're going to be fairly fed up about that anyway. Whereas now, certainly against City, he was instrumental in that game, and he just looked like he was enjoying himself. So yeah. Nuno was a strange one, but again, it's almost like, well, everyone's turned us down. He's the only manager left in world football, so we better go get him. But yeah, it was a strange one. Certainly after the Levy's comment saying we're going back to Spurs' roots and attacking football, and then you go to... And the biggest surprise with Nuno, I think, is everyone expecting to play three centre-backs, and he constantly just played two. And 3 wins out of 3, 1 against City, no goals conceded, and it was never going to last. It was never going to last, but it came completely crashing down. And like I say, I feel a bit sorry for him. I think he was a little bit in over his head, but it is what it is. And we got Conte now, and we've just got to back Conte to hopefully do what Conte does.
Yeah, I mean, Conte came in, didn't he? And he sort of rallied the troops. He went on this unbeaten run. And now, all of a sudden, it seems to be a little bit of a blip at the moment, apart from, obviously, the game the other night. I mean, is that how you see it? Would you say it was just a little blip? And it's just, that result could potentially get you back on track?
In terms of the little blip, his unbeaten run that you mentioned there, that they were teams that we should be beating, with the exception of Liverpool, but at home, and they didn't have a couple of midfielders. They're the only kind of team that we played that were of any kind of, well, they're a big team here. They're a big team. But we were at home, which, you've got a good chance of winning that anyway because you're at home. The blips come about by playing Chelsea away, which... Chelsea are a far better team than us, despite their recent problems. But then you go away to Man City and win there. But I think Chelsea are a lot more tactical. I think Tuchel's a lot more tactically astute than Pep. He's a lot more tactically astute than Pep, so he knows that Kane coming deep is the catalyst for us attacking. And so he didn't let that happen. And then we kind of went out with a bit of a whimper, where City, he was allowed to do what he wanted. So hopefully, and the 2 results, Wolves and Southampton, were absolutely terrible. Southampton was bad enough. Wolves, just the mistakes there, we've got to cut them out. If you want to do anything in football, stay up, win the league, get in Europe, you've got to cut out silly mistakes like that. And yeah, hopefully the City game has put them back on track now. But Burnley ain't going to be an easy game. Like I said to you off air, you could be bottom of League 2. You never, ever get an easy game at Turf Moor. And you've got to be up for a battle there. You've got to be up for a fight and match, the desire that you guys will show. If not, we'll get beaten. And then that blip number 2 starts again.
Yeah. The thing is, I mean, how did you feel when it was announced that Conte became manager? Because, to be honest, it felt like, as a fan, looking from the outside, it was almost like, really, Spurs? And I know that sounds like disrespectful for when you look at Conte's sort of resume. You just think, with the managers that you've gone through Mourinho, you've decided to go, basically last chance saloon in Nuno, what seemed like that a little bit. And then Conte is like, well, maybe I could do it. I mean, fair play to him. But as I said, it did seem like it was a poison chalice. But when he was appointed, how did you feel it was?
Well, I was angry that we didn't get him in the summer and wasted our time with Nuno, even though I don't have anything against Nuno. But if you're going to go and get Conte, get him for the summer. For me, it came straight after the Man United 3-0 loss, which I didn't go to that game. I share my season ticket, but my dad went to that game. But you could hear on the TV, certainly when Moura went off, that the boos were almost deafening. So to me, it was almost like he's got Conte in just to appease the fans a little bit and appease Harry Kane to show that we're kind of trying to progress and we're ambitious. But again, just get him in the summer. Don't waste time. I mean, there was rumours that Conte said he didn't feel comfortable leaving to go into somewhere else just after leaving Inter Milan. But if you're that uncomfortable, don't leave Inter Milan. So yeah, it was a very weird one. But like I said at the start of this has been a completely strange season and such a ridiculous season for Spurs right from the start. And Conte coming in 4 months in. It's just something else to add to that. But yeah, it felt like to me just appeasing the fans after the boos. And it's the first time we've had Levy out chants in the stadium. So I think he possibly, like, oh, I need to do something here. Otherwise, they're going to get on my back even more. So I'll bring in one of the world's elite managers.
No, I don't blame you for bringing him in either. I mean, he's done an absolute wonderful job since coming in. And fingers crossed, with a decent, summer window and summer under his belt as well. It should be really good for Spurs to kick on next season as well. The missus has said, I'm hoping Dash doesn't change the squad to what the lineup against Brighton. I know what you mean. Basically, don't change the squad. Don't change anything from the Brighton squad. The team worked well together and it was a real team effort. They really did. Really gave a grounded performance. Played football, which is something we're not used to seeing Burnley do. We're not used to seeing Burnley playing tiki-taka stuff. We're used to seeing blue tack, literally stick a ball up top and that's it. Honestly, it's been awful. Chris saying hello to the missus and the missus saying hello back. Well, I'll leave them to that. I mean, Harry Kane, we've got to obviously talk about the main man up top. Were you resigned to losing him in the summer? Did you think he was going to go? Do you think it was just a ploy to sign a new deal? I mean, how did you look at it?
No Spurs fan begrudged him a move before the whole Man City affair happened. We're all fed up at how the team has kind of declined. He's always said he'll stay if we're progressing and showing ambition. And the fact is, when you get Nuno in, you're not. When you've had Mourinho in, and then you get Nuno in. No disrespect to Nuno, you're not showing ambition. So no one begrudged him a move. The whole Man City affair. I mean, whoever the commentator was for the City game on Match of the Day said that's why City moved heaven and earth to try and sign him. From my understanding, I don't, I'm not in the know or anything like that, but it seemed to be that Man City didn't bid the asking price, which Man City could bid 3 times the asking price. The way Kane went about it, whether he refused to train, whether he didn't, or whatever, the fact remains it took 6 days or something like that for him to come out and go, I'd never refused to train. I love the club and blah, 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 blah. Either the club or him has to come out fairly quickly and say that's the case. And that's because I believe that Kane was trying to force a move. And I think he's made a mistake there thinking that the fan base love him more than they hate Levy. So whatever he does, if it's against Levy, the fans will always stick with Harry Kane, but then he's forgotten the fact that no one's bigger than the club. And then obviously the start, it didn't help. He's obviously struggled this season. It doesn't help, like I said, when Nuno's playing, essentially not knowing that the striker's up there. Whereas Conte plays a lot more to get Kane in the game and get Kane in the box. Whereas Nuno didn't do that at all. But the turning point for me, it wasn't a turning point for a lot of people. It was the Arsenal game when we lost 3-1, interestingly. It was the third goal was his fault. He slipped over, but then he's run 70 yards back to try and stop the ball. Got an unlucky ricochet and Saka's put it in. But if you're not bothered, you don't run back 70 yards. If you're not bothered, you make a mistake. Oh, well, it's someone else's problem, not mine. So that, to me, said that the effort was still there. And to me, it was just the way that we were playing wasn't getting him in the game. And it takes a little time. I think we're really struggling without the Eriksen replacement. Kane's having to be our playmaker again. I think he's having to do too much. If we had an Eriksen playmaker, I think he'd be on about 15, 20 goals this season. Already, because there'd be someone to do that for him. But against City, I mean, it's interesting now. I'm not sure. I put a vote thing up on Twitter after the City game. Is that Kane? He looked really fired up in that. Was that because he wants to get Spurs in the top 4? It's to say to City, you should have signed me. Or I just want to play football. I'll do my best regardless. But he was superb in that game. He was absolutely superb. If we can keep that Harry Kane, for the rest of the season, we've got a real chance of that top four. But I think City played into our hands a little bit by attacking us, and that left the gaps for the counter attack for him to drop deep, and no one picked him up. But yeah, I wouldn't say I've forgiven him. Maybe forgiven him, but not forgotten him. So he has to, the summer is going to be really interesting. And I think the 2 players we bought in January and the 3 players that we've got out, or certainly 2, Ndombele and Dello, didn't want to be there. I think that's good business. And I think the 2 players coming in will be good players come the end of the season. So the summer is where you have to really show that ambition. And I think no ambition. Kane wants to go away again. A lot of ambition. We've still got Conte there. Whether he'll sign a new contract, I'm not sure. I cannot believe a player of his standing signs a 6-year contract with Daniel Levy and does not have a get-out clause or minimum release clause or don't get in Champions League release clause in it. So if he does sign a contract, there'll be something like that in it. So it won't be where he signs a 4-year contract. We've got him for 4 years and it's up to Levy what he goes for. It'll be up to what we do as a football club on the pitch. But yeah, it was nice to hear the fans singing one of our own again to him after the City game. But yeah, he needs to perform like he did against City for the rest of the season. And regardless if he's performing well or not, if Harry Kane plays well, we've got a chance of top 4. If Harry Kane's really struggling, that's going to really hinder our chances as well.
Yeah, I mean, I look at your first goal against Man City. That, for me, just showed great teamwork, especially from Heung-min Son. He could have easily, a player of his caliber could have rounded the keeper, could have, just slotted it through his legs, etc. He unselfishly, passed it to Kulusevski, and he just had a simple tap in, really. That game shocked me. I mean,
you're telling me.
Yeah. I mean, I watched back Match of the Day and I looked at it, and they said how Spurs. I think Pep Guardiola hasn't beaten Spurs, has he? Really, I don't think. Or in the past couple of games against Spurs, it's been very. Spurs have had the upper hand when they've gone to the Etihad, I think.
We lost 3 in a row, I think, before this in the league. I think. I can't remember, to be honest. But yeah, we seem to have quite good results against Man City. We beat them twice this year. Obviously, the Champions League in 2019. But yeah, I was shocked. I thought we'd get some chances and be able to play on the counter-attack, but I thought City would score more than 2 goals. I certainly thought they'd have more than, I think it was 5 shots on target, and they had 79% possession. I mean, that either says they're really wasteful, or to me it says our defence was spot on, and we obviously closed off the middle of that park. So De Bruyne, Foden couldn't really do anything, and then they played into our hands twice this season, really, City, by putting it wide and trying to cross it to a number 10, number 9 who isn't there. And generally your defenders are going to head that out most of the time if you haven't got a big striker up there. Which is where the Burnley game is completely different. You've got that big striker up there, and I don't think we can afford to just, like City, let you keep having it wide unless we're going to double up on the wingers or the wing backs and stop crosses coming in, which we don't generally do. And if the ball does go into the box, that Weghorst, we could be in a lot of trouble there.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny what you say about the City game because, as you said, you shut up shop against City. I think Phil Foden probably showed more fight at the MEN that night than he did at the Etihad. I mean, as you said there about Weghorst, Static, who's in the chat, hope you're well, says if Weghorst keeps this up with goals and assists, Burnley could definitely stay up. I mean, as I said to you off camera, I see Weghorst sort of in that similar type of player to Harry Kane, where he's having to drop deep, orchestra the midfield, an extra body in midfield shows us up that little bit. So when you've got your wingers bombing on a little bit, it helps. And it's like I've said to people, even if Weghorst doesn't pop 10 in a season or whatever, if there's other people popping up on the score sheet because of how technically good he is with his feet, then I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. It's better than watching Chris Wood being snuggled up with an offside flag every season. So,
Were
So
you
yeah,
upset
upset
at
that.
him leaving? Were you upset with him leaving, or were you upset until you got Veghorst in and you went, okay, it's an upgrade? Or what were your thoughts on Wood leaving? Because I
I
was
was
quite
upset.
surprised that it came out of the blue.
Yeah, I was upset to begin with. I won't lie. I was like, "What? Really? We paid 15 million for him, and you've gained what? And you've only gained an extra 10 million on top of that. That's pathetic for a player you signed from Leeds when they were in the Championship. He's been in a team that's been fighting at the Dundums of the bottom of the Premier League for a couple of seasons. However, he's been churning out double figures in goals. And I'm thinking, right, an extra 10 million, really? And then I looked and I thought, right, he's 30 years old. He's only had 3 goals this year. The turning point for me from going upset to thinking, hold on a minute, we've got a good deal was when Luca Dean left Everton to go to Aston Villa for the exact same amount of money. And I thought, hold on, this is like a player that's probably been Everton's standout player, really, going forward in their defensive line as well, getting forward, bombing down the wing. And to sort of get similar amount of money, like what Villa paid for Luca Dean, I'm like, that's not too bad, really. That's not too bad at all. Plus, I looked at the fact that at Newcastle, Chris Wood's not going to get the service because St Maximum and Ryan Fraser, they like to cut in and have a pop themselves. So
They
Chris
do
Wood's
have
going to be a
Trippier,
bit
though, don't they?
isolated. What's that? Sorry.
They do have Trippier, so I'm assuming
Well,
he'll get forward and
yeah.
bomb
I
down the right
mean,
and ping crosses in. But
to be fair, that hurt probably more than losing Chris Wood. The fact that Trippier came out and said, "Oh, if I come back to the Premier League, it'll be for Burnley. I want to play under Sean Dyche again."
yeah,
Things like that. And then he said, once it's time for Newcastle, he said the first person to get in touch with him was Sean Dyche, saying, "Yeah, it's nice to see you back in the country, but I'm extremely disappointed in you."
But
So,
people say anything, and then as soon as money gets wafted in their face,
oh yeah.
things can change. But
The thing is as well with Trippier, he's at that age as well, isn't he? Where he's probably if he's going to get a bigger payout than when he was getting at Atletico Madrid, does that not speak volumes? It's strange because I'm glad that he's. I don't literally come on here and say that I'm happy that somebody's injured, but the fact that Trippier is injured. The fact that Trippier is injured for Newcastle really helps us because it also sort of nullifies one of their threats.
Yeah.
But yeah, Newcastle, they're going to buy themselves out of it, aren't they, by the looks of things? So
well, I mean, talk about Tottenham's summer needs to be ambitious. If Newcastle stay up, they'll spend an absolute fortune in the summer because players will want to go there for the money. Although someone did say to me, I can't remember who it was now, that they'll just get, I can't think of the word, that the people who are just going there for the money, not the football. I can't think of the word.
like a gold digger.
Yeah, I can't think of the word, but yeah, so they're going to end up not in trouble, but they're going to end up with all of these high-paid players who aren't going to do that much just because they're going there for the money. Yeah, so almost like I can't think of the word. It's almost like holding someone to ransom, but yeah, I can't think of the word. But yeah, so it'll be interesting what they do in the summer.
Yeah, it will. It will. I mean, this game tomorrow, Chris. It's going to be interesting. You know, we were meant to play before.
Yeah, this is the one that was called off for the weather, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the snow was horrendous that day. Literally, absolutely horrendous. You know, we saw the videos, the fact that they were shoveling it off the pitch and everything else. But by the time they got to do the other side, that one was back full again. It was ridiculous. And the one thing I do want to say is that a lot of people came out and was like, "Have you not got undersoil heating? Can barely not afford the electric bill and stuff like that?" I get the jokes, I get the gist and stuff like that, but that doesn't stop the snow on the surface. You know, it'll keep. You know, it'll melt the ice underneath. It'll melt all that due to the warmth underneath, but it's not going to stop the snow that's, hitting the surface and coming down in abundance. So there's not much you can do about that. That said, the game is going ahead tomorrow. You know, fingers crossed there's no last minute hiccups. How do you see it? I know you've already said that it's going to be a tough one. You're obviously coming into it on the back of a result against Manchester City. We've just give Brighton their 6th defeat of the season. It's it's set up for a nice tasty one tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, both teams need to win. You obviously need. Well, both teams need the points. Both teams need to, follow up their last result with another victory. Yeah, like I said, I hate going to Turf Moor. we
Funnily
don't
enough,
generally
this season, so do we.
We generally don't do that well there, and you have to be up for a fight. And we showed a lot of fight against City, but previously this season, certainly at home against Wolves, Southampton, we didn't have any fight at all. And I always say before a game, I want to see the first 50-50, whoever it falls to, our player go in hard and show the opposition you're in for a game. That then becomes contagious to the rest of the team. And too often this season, that hasn't happened. We did it against City, but, it's easy to get yourself up, isn't it, for the potentially champions-elect. You've got to be able to do that constantly and consistently. So you can generally see which Spurs turn up with that first 50-50 in the first 10 minutes. And but every single time Burnley go into that 50-50 like it's a goal, a goal scoring, goal saving challenge. So we've got to match your fire and your temperament and everything like that. And obviously with Harry Kane and Son up top in terms of going forward, Weghorst is obviously superb as well. But Kane and Son, for me, are in a different level. They're world class. So
yeah,
if we can get them in the game, hopefully that talent will go through. But then that talent ain't going to go through just because we've got Kane and Son. You have to earn the right to get that talent through. So, and that starts with the right mentality, the right attitude, and yeah, and I can see it being a really, really tight game. I don't think there'll be more than 2 goals in the entire game, whether that'll be 1-0, 2-0, 1-1, something like that. Maybe a 2-1, but I think it'll be a really tight game, and my money's on a 1-0 either way. I think it'll be a really, really tight game. And Weghorst, we have to do to him what we did to De Bruyne and just keep him out of the game, although we let De Bruyne have one bit of the ball, and then that was what created the penalty with his cross. But yeah, hopefully Conte has scouted everything again, like he obviously did with City, identified Weghorst as your key man, and can do a job against him, and then we can get the ball and do our stuff with it as well. But yeah, I hate going to Turf Moor. You always get a tough game. Like I said, you could be bottom of League Two, not having a game, not scored a goal. You always get a tough game. Always get a tough game. And you have to earn your results there. You're not going to get given it in and you can't really afford any passengers regardless of where Burnley are in the league. And if we've got any designs on this top 4, we have to win. We can't have an unbelievable win against Man City and then follow it up with not winning against a team who are in the bottom half. And then similarly with Leeds again at the weekend, who I think Leeds will suit us a bit more because Man City, they don't know anything else other than to attack, so the gaps should be there. I'm not sure the gaps will be there against Burnley, so I think we've got to really, really grind a result out there, and yeah, hopefully we can. But obviously you need the points as well, so you'll be fighting as well. And you said earlier that you're a bit more expansive. I mean, that would suit us if you are, but I'm still not sure you'll be going all gung-ho for it because wherever you finish in the league is dependent on generally how you do against the teams around yourself. So, yeah, obviously, if you're going for the top title, you have to beat all the teams below you and not lose to the teams at the top. If you're in the bottom half or relegation threatened, you've got to beat the teams around you, and just anything against the top teams is a bonus. So a draw would be a good result for you, I think. And
massively. This game for us is a free hit. It's a free hit, really.
Yeah. As long as you don't get absolutely battered 6-0, which I won't happen. But when you're in a relegation battle, as long as you don't get battered 6-0 by the top teams, it's fine if you take a loss for that. But yeah, I think it'd be a real tough game, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it's a draw.
No, I mean, I'd snap your end off for that right away. I'm going to put you in a situation. Conte's gone. You've been put in charge. You're picking the team that faces Burnley tomorrow night. Who's in your starting 11?
Every single player who started against Man City for me. I'd be like, was it Katie on the chat said about your team not changing anything against Brighton? I'd be picking exactly the same team that started for against City as well. They've just had an unbelievable win. They should be on cloud 9. Kulusevski looked really good. I thought that he's only been there like a month, 2 months, and he already looks like he's played with Kane and Son all of his life, certainly against City anyway. And obviously that will then potentially make Dyche think, okay, we've got to be good defense, and the defenders, we've got to be good defensively here because they tore City apart with about half a dozen chances. So, yeah, absolutely exactly the same team that started against Man City for me.
No, 100%. I think as the missus said in the chat, I've got to side with her. I mean, I have to most days anyway. But yeah, no, I totally agree. You can't change that side. Even if Ashley Westwood or James Tarkowski are back from COVID, I just don't think you drop Nathan Collins. I don't think you drop Jack Cork to put Westwood back in. I thought we're quite resolute. However, in this game, I do think we are going to have to be a bit different, set up a little bit more defensive, potentially try and, if we're going to get lucky, try and counter maybe, or utilise the set pieces, corners, etc. Fingers crossed we can get something from them. If we do, if that happens, it's got, like, as you say, either a 1-0 either way written all over it. But I would happily take a point.
The one thing I'd be stressing if I was Conte as well is do not give Burnley any corners, free kicks cheaply. Don't give them any incentive or any kind of free kick to ping it into the box up in the air because, it's just, keep them wide, show them wide, get them to force you to play it back if needs be. Just don't give any silly fouls away. But I mean, how often do we say that? And watching a game, don't foul him, free kick.
True. Ducky's in. Ducky, I hope you are well. Bonjour, mon amour. Hope you are well. Thank you for coming in. As I say, hope you are great. And happy birthday to little Joshua as well, you little lad. I hope he's had a really good birthday, mate. So all the best for that. Chris, I do have a little game for you. I do it with everybody else. And this is a little game called This or That.
This or that.
Yes, I do my own voiceover work.
I wasn't expecting this. This is quite exciting.
Well, this one's it's almost pretty much, I'm going to mention 2 things, and all you have to do is pick one or the other. So I will get it underway straight away with home games or away games.
Home.
Ooh, interesting. See, a lot of people go for away games because of the camaraderie, the singing for 90 minutes. But no, fair point.
Yeah, I'm going for. I back us to win home games rather than
that I can understand. Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
Work hard or play hard?
Play hard. No one likes work.
Nah, do it, frig. Old White Hart Lane or new White Hart Lane?
Old. I did the stadium tour at both. Old White Hart Lane was a football stadium. This one's a multimedia stadium, and it's lost something. Even though it is absolutely spectacular and looks so modern, it's
Just feel like it's lost its identity, sort of thing.
A little bit, yeah. And I love the 1-tier stand. I'm in the 1-tier stand, the South stand, but yeah, there's something about White Hart Lane.
Yeah, the old White Hart Lane. The only thing that did my head in a little bit is that in the away end, like, you're literally for 90 minutes watched by that huge police box at the side of you. There's nothing you could do. Literally, there is someone there just like holding the camera, just watching you. And I mean, I'm not that sort of person to start aggro anyway. But the time that I went were, funnily enough, typical Burnley, let people grab their first goal. Ashley Barnes scored an absolute worldie And then Eric Lamela bagged as well that day's first goal for Spurs.
I think that was quite a good finish. That was.
Yeah, it was near Christmas, I think, because they were giving out little Merry Christmas hats on with Burnley badges on, which still got somewhere. But yeah, absolute cracking fixture with that. Sky Sports or BT Sports?
I don't like any of the pundits on any, really, but I'll go Sky Sports.
Fair point. Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
Cats or dogs?
Or dogs all the way.
Yes, totally agree. Title win and no Champions League, or second and a Champions League win?
I mean, we haven't won a trophy in God knows how long, so it doesn't really matter because there's a trophy in there somewhere.
Seventh in an FA Cup?
Well, I'd take that, yeah. Seventh in an FA Cup, although at this moment in time we should be getting fourth or should be looking at fourth. But I'll go the league win. Just because that means we're guaranteed to finish above Arsenal.
Yeah, not wrong with that. If you could replace any current Spurs player with a Burnley player, who would it be?
Tarkowski, I think, for Sanchez. I like Sanchez, but he's not dependable at all, unfortunately. And Tarkowski, I think, is fairly dependable. Although, having said that as well, I've just thought that Lloris is obviously on his way out, so Nick Pope to replace him.
You know what? Fair point, Chris. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people said to me, if Nick Pope leaves Burnley, who does he go to? United have De Gea, Arsenal are starting something with Ramsdale, Chelsea have got Mendy and Kepa, Liverpool, Alisson. Where does he go? And I said, well, Hugo Lloris will either go back to PSG or he'll go for a final payday in the MLS or something like that. I said, where I think Nick Pope would suit Spurs to a T.
Yeah. I think he's a top quality goalkeeper. Can't believe I didn't think of him first, but no one ever remembers the goalkeepers. But
you might even bring him in at the end of the year if we go down. Yeah. You never know.
I think it's very interesting that Lloris got extended his deal. Everyone thought it'd be a 1-year deal, and it's a 2-year deal. So for me, that says that we're planning to bring in a goalkeeper while he's still there. And that new goalkeeper is going to be fighting with him for the number 1 jersey in the same way that Lloris, when he came in, did with Friedel, rather than have Lloris, who's been brilliant for us. He's made a few mistakes here or there, but on the whole has been absolutely brilliant. And then all of a sudden you bring a new goalkeeper and go, right, you're replacing Hugo Lloris. So I think it's a 2-year deal, and in the next year or so, maybe in the summer, we'll get a new goalkeeper. And maybe we are waiting to see if you go down, and then obviously Nick Pope will potentially be cheaper and maybe want to go, whereas if you stay up, he might not want to. It will certainly be more expensive. So maybe it's something like that. But yeah, I can't believe I didn't think of him first. But yeah,
not to be fair, that is a cracking shout. I'm glad you've said it because, as I said, I've always said that Spurs would be the perfect place for Nick Pope if he were to leave. And as Tab says here, you might get Tarky anyway. His contract's up in the summer. He's available on a free. So who knows what will happen there? I'm sure there'll be a lot of clubs fighting for his signature. Last but not least, Chris, it's been absolute great having you on. I know obviously you've got another show coming up as well. But first of all, thanks again. And just let everybody know where they can find you and your socials.
First and foremost, thanks so much for inviting me on. Really enjoyed it. Been a pleasure coming on. Everyone hit like, hit subscribe on this channel. My channel, Let's Talk Tottenham, on YouTube, Mondays 8 p.m, Fridays 12:30 p.m. Fridays generally the preview, Mondays generally the review of the weekend matches, and then it goes out on a podcast as well the day after. So on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, really. So and at L Talk Tottenham is the Twitter handle, so you'll find all the information there as well.
No problem. Again, thanks a lot for coming along, Chris. Really does mean a lot. And obviously, should be a good game tomorrow. Really, really should. I don't think there's any snow forecast, so that's always a good sign. But yeah,
as long as we win, I don't care if it's a good game. Anyway, it's just, one goal in one chance in the entire game, and it's a wayward shot that flies off Harry Kane's backside and goes in. We win 1-0. I couldn't care less as long as we win. You obviously don't want that every game, but yeah,
of course.
It's generally quite a scrappy game at Burnley because you don't make it easy for us to play or teams to play because you're always in the face, so you don't really get that much time on the ball. So as long as we win, I don't care because I'm not very confident, to be honest with you.
To be fair, I won't be. I'll be looking forward to it. I'll be looking forward to it up until about 7:15, and then that's it. My arse will start falling out, and I'll be like, right, where do I go from here? What do I do? And I'm sat on pins like this, just for 90 minutes.
I think the other thing is no one expected us to get anything at Man City, so we're the underdogs. So if we do get battered, everyone's expecting that anyway. Whereas now, because of where you are in the league, people will be expecting us to win and will be expecting us to win as well. So it's a kind of completely different mindset, but you have to have that same mindset that it's all about, how you prepare and how you approach things. And we have to approach it in the same way as City, that we're up for a fight and otherwise we will get beaten.
No, very interesting, very interesting. Tab says, I'll gladly take a 1-1, and so would I. I would snap your hands off. Guys, thank you for all your comments in the chat. It really does mean a lot. You've been absolutely fantastic. Chris, again, thank you for coming on and giving us your time and your insight into Spurs. Guys, do go check out Let's Talk Football. Go on and give them a subscription, subscribe, whatever you want to call it. Hit the like button. Just drop a subscription on both channels. It really does mean a lot. You can find us on all social media. You can find Chris on all social media as well. But again, until tomorrow, Burnley versus Spurs. It's 7:30 kickoff, isn't it? Is that due to Champions League, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah. It's in the evening. It's in the evening.
Yeah, definitely. As long as you've been to the shop and got your cans by 6 o'clock, you're laughing. Guys, it's been absolutely wonderful. I've been Dan. He's been Chris. And we will see you guys extremely soon. Thanks again. Take care. Stay safe.
Cheers.